Let's go.
Welcome back to the Superman podcast. I'm joined by my co-host Lionel. Welcome, Lionel.
G'day, Matty. How you going today?
Very good, mate. Very good. And did you want to introduce our special guest today, Lionel?
You're the main intro person, so you can hit it off.
Let's go. Well, today we've got a special guest, one of our colleagues in the financial planning world, Victor from CFV Financial Services. Welcome, Victor.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Superman. It's a pleasure.
Look forward to learning a bit more about Victor, his business, and also the book that he's recently written as well. Lionel?
Yeah, so Victor, welcome, mate, to the Superman podcast, mate. It's great to have you on. You are I would say we've got you on the podcasting journey so far. We've recorded a few more #1 selling hits than you have, but you're
Okay.
elevating your wealth.
Okay. I need to elevate my performance to get up there.
No, but yeah, Victor, another financial advisor in the industry, one of our good mates, one of our mates that we've traveled overseas with a couple of times in the last couple of years. So we wanted to just get you on and get your perspective on life, on education, on your upbringing and stuff like that as well. So peeling back the layers of Victor Idoko. Victor, proud Nigerian, tell us about
Yes.
your background and how life started for you, and what was it like growing up back in Nigeria?
Yeah. Amazing. How long do I have? Like 2 days? 3
Yeah, you got
days?
2 days.
About 30
Okay.
seconds.
Okay, let's speed this up. So I born in Nigeria. Mom was a teacher, dad was a soldier, and I can imagine the house there was discipline and sequence. So you did this, you get in trouble. You did this, you will not be in trouble, which was amazing because for people like me that I like sequence, and I just literally needed to know what not to do, what to do, and then I'm good. It worked out well. Uh, I was the middle child as well. So what happened was I learned from my older siblings getting in trouble a lot because they'll just do naughty things, and then my mom would unleash on them. And then she always used to joke as well that by the time she gets to me, I'm already crying as a baby. So she'll be like, "Yep, don't do it again." And I'll be like, "Yep, I won't do it again." So it was a fun childhood growing up, and I went to boarding school. And it's funny, I was on another podcast a while ago, and they were asking me if I was rich because I went to boarding school, and I was like, no. The poor kids are the ones that go to boarding school back home. So it's just a way for the parents to ship them off and then have their own space and stuff. So but boarding school as well, very, very, very disciplined, very structured. So my whole upbringing was around discipline and structure and all that. So I moved to Australia about 17 years ago. Before I jump into Australia, I think the
Now we'll
key
go
things
back a
are
little bit. We'll go back. Let's go back
okay.
to your time in Nigeria. One of the more interesting conversations I've had with you over time, catching a flight to Vancouver for 14 hours. We spent a lot of time talking, so we're not going to talk about all those stories. But one of the ones that stuck with me and was like, we try and bring up your early money stories and the values that
Oh yeah.
you've come about with what your learnings over time, and tell us about what your mum taught you about money.
Okay. Yeah. Good one. So the two key things that I remember about and were my first memories about a certain aspect of money. Okay. One was my mom. She was actually very good, and I'd look. I think she definitely did it consciously, but back then in Nigeria, if you're a good boy or a good girl or a good kid, you get given money here and there, very similar to the red envelope kind of thing. So I remember my first memory about money, having money in my hand. She was like, "Don't worry, give me the money. I'll take care of it for you. We're gonna save some, and we're gonna spend some. So if you ever need anything, come let me know." And I remember she put it under her jewelry box at that point. It was the first vivid memory I remember about money. And each time we did that, so each time we got money, we did that. So when I talk to my clients as well, it's like, look, my attitudes about money were kind of ingrained by my parents. I learned the knowledge, I learned everything in terms of information after, but the attitudes as to saving were just there. So I encourage them as well, if they have kids, to teach them from a young age about that. But that was my first vivid memory about money in my hand and what I do with it. And till this day, if I get money, I'm still very conscious that I should save some and I should spend some. So I never really spend anything. So to me, that was a very impactful lesson then. So that was one about saving, and not spending everything. So, spending plan, which was amazing. My dad, on the other hand, I think my dad was definitely subconscious. He wasn't planning anything, but it's good because he did teach me something there. He used to get envelopes, and back then the envelopes had checks in them. Okay, because if you think about it, in the early 90s, you'll be getting envelopes. There wasn't digital transfer to your account, and those envelopes had some digits on there, and he'll get me to read out the digits, and I'll read them out. I'll be like, oh, this is such tiny money. And he was like, well, someone is giving him money because he gave them money to invest for him. I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. So that was my first memory about, okay, you can invest and you can make money. And that was all he did. He just got me to open envelopes, and then I asked the questions. He didn't say anything else. He didn't do anything else. And those two memories have just stuck with me ever since. Because a few years ago, when I became an advisor, I was thinking, okay, where did my first memories come from investing? And those two definitely stuck out. So kudos to mom and dad. Mom, because dad, I think you just didn't want to open envelopes. So I was like, here you go, open it for me.
And what about your mum? Did you learn anything from her in business?
Yeah. So another thing that I rarely speak about, my mom was an industrious superwoman, and I know most people would say that about their moms, but look, my mom worked a full-time job. She took care of the family. She ran several businesses, and she did that from a very early age as well. So in terms of business and the key things I've learned from her, she always preached that, look, it takes time to build anything good, so you need to give it time. That's the first thing. And second thing as well is she always talked about hard work. She was like, you need to put in the work, you need to put in the hours. It's not just going to get done by itself as well. And I just thinking about it now as well, there was always positivity around money and business. Like my mom had a poultry, and I remember there was once where like half of the poultry were dead because they had some infection or whatever. And I remember asking her what's going on. She was like, well, this thing just happened in business, but we've lost lots of chickens and we'll just keep going. So all of a sudden, all those small things as a little kid have stayed with me and really impacted my life and just my journey as a business owner, as a financial planner, and all that as well. So yeah, kudos to mom for being super mom at that point in time.
Yeah.
Super mom, incredible, man, incredible.
Well, it does shape your perspective from the outset straight away, and that's some of the key lessons that you teach some of your clients straight away, is those small little examples of how to understand money, and people just don't get taught that, to be honest. So unfortunately these days in Australia, in particular in our education system, we don't get taught that at all, how to manage money, what tax is, and all that sort of stuff. So
Or even have that exposure, Lionel, as well.
yeah,
That's pretty special to get, even though your dad may have been not wanting to open envelopes. It's that exposure and your curiosity, right? Asking different questions that really leads to opening your mind to different things and different possibilities that many don't get to experience.
Yeah. So, and I always tell my clients as well is I was fortunate to get that at an early age. However, I definitely know it's very teachable and very learnable by anyone. It does take time, and the time is the small things like the dollar cost averaging we get people to do. That's building the right habit over time. But all those things are the habits as well that are very needed. And your point on financial literacy across the board, it's one of the sad things that many people don't get that, because everyone has to deal with money. You have to deal with what are you spending, what are you getting. It's just part of it, and we definitely need to advocate for more financial literacy. And even if it's just the behaviors, like simple behaviors, never spend everything you have. It's just something that can be taught from generations to generation, right? So
So yeah, moving to Australia, but Victor, what was the motivation? And was there a bit of a shock moving to Australia? And were you by yourself or with siblings or family?
yeah, so I moved by myself, and I had a cousin here back in Perth, and pretty much I just moved. And I guess then it was just exciting to be going to a different country, and exciting to kind of start a new life. Obviously, looking back now as a more matured person, is like, well, okay, yeah, that was a hard move. But at that point in time, you honestly felt easy. I couldn't think of anything um, of that part that was hard, other than me knowing that, look, I'm leaving family behind, and it was a little bit of a sad night, the final night before I left. But other than that, yeah, it was fine. Just getting away. Uh, funny funny story then as well is the night before I left, is like I unpacked my bags and everything, and I was in my room, and then mom came in, and when mom came in, she just started crying. She just started crying,
Heavy,
and
heavy.
then my sister came in. Yeah, my sister came in, and then she just started crying. So I was like, "What is going on?"
Oh,
And I couldn't help myself. Then I just started crying as well. And then funny aspect, my brother came in. He just came in. He looked at everyone. He didn't say anything. He turned out, went out, got my dad. They both came in, and then they just started laughing at us. They're
what
like,
have
"What are these
brothers
people
for?
doing?"
What
I
are
know, right?
brothers for, hey?
Yeah, but to even make this even hilarious, or rather, it was very funny to me when I had left, because my dad dropped me at the airport, and apparently he waited till the plane took off. And once the plane took off, there were a few people around him asking, "Oh, what's going on?" They're like, "Oh, he was like, oh, my son is going to Australia." And then they're like, "Oh, Australia, that's far." And then apparently he just started crying.
The tough
Yeah.
guy.
So look, other than that, look, it was a good move. And generally, if you can afford to leave Nigeria for better education, you will do that. So hence the reason I left back then, just for better education. So I'm very glad
Yeah.
I came here. 17 years later, I just finished studying. So yeah, it's been a
Crazy.
long one.
That's been one of the passions that you've become here in Australia, is trying to become the most educated man in financial planning.
Yes, trying to do that. So yeah.
And why did you
Which is,
choose financial planning? How did you get into that?
yeah, so I fell into it because when I was coming over to study, my mentality back then, which is such a terrible mentality. I can't believe my parents allowed me to do it, but anyway, I think they just didn't want to force me down a path that they thought I wouldn't like. But my mentality back then was I wanted to come to uni and study the quickest thing ever. And I was like, well, if I go be a doctor, I'm going to spend at least 6 years and then another 6 years to specialize. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. I was like, yeah, if I was to study engineering, yeah, I'll spend 4 years and then I have to do a master's or honors year as well, which will be about 6 years. Like, nah, I'm not doing that. I was like, yeah, finance. I want to be a finance bro. 3 years and then I'm out. And little did I know that. Little did I know that I'll start studying finance, and I actually loved the practicality of finance. Back then it was accounting, economics, lots about banking, cash rates, all those things were very interesting to me, and you'd see that actually happen in real life. So it was very interesting to study all that. And then yeah, I just kept studying after then because I then saw how practical it was. And fast forward, when I was done with my honors year, I was like, well, what do I do? I was like, well, um, I like investing. So I joined the bank. So I joined the bank as a retail consultant at that time. And I'd already started investing personally, and I liked it. And many mistakes were made back then, but I still liked it. So I was like, okay, well, can I do that still relates to investing and meeting people? And someone mentioned financial planning. I was like, okay. I was like, what are they paying? They're like, yep, more than your salary now. I was like, yep, sign me up. And pretty much after I had my first meeting with the clients, and back then you need to do the diploma and all that, which I did.
Yeah.
But I had my first meeting with the clients, really understood how much of an impact I can make in people's lives, because lots of people don't understand simple things like cash rate, effective cash rate, average cash rate, average interest rate, effective interest rate, and things like that. Talk more of complex things like super investments, retirement, investment growth bonds and all. So by the time I saw that impact, I was like, yep, this is for me. I definitely want to do this long term. So that's how I fell into financial planning.
So is that where most of your enjoyment comes from still, now that you've been in the industry a long time? That impact that you can have on people? What enjoyment do you get from staying in financial planning?
Yeah, so definitely, look, I get to meet lots of people. I get to work on them on life goals. There's nothing, in my honest opinion, there's nothing as sweet as, sitting down with someone. They say they really want to buy a house, but like, yep, let's work on that. Let's get you into your house in 3-4 years. Or someone saying, I want to retire. I'm tired of working. Okay, and it's like, yep, let's make you retire in 5-10 years time. Or they're like, well, I want to set up the kids for education. I want to ensure that they can afford their education. They want to send them to boarding school, private school, outside the country. Like, yep, let's make that happen. Like, to me, that's just one of the best things you can do for someone, other than saving their lives.
Yeah, true. So was there any early challenges that you had going into the banking system, the big world of big banks, seeing your first clients, having your first meetings? What were some of the early challenges that you experienced coming through?
Yeah. So the early ones for me were, especially my first few clients in financial planning, look, it all made sense to me. It's like, yep, do this, do that, do that. Yep, that's what we're doing. Here's the fee. Yes or no. And then people are saying, no. I'm like, no, this doesn't make sense. Why? Why are you saying no to this amazing plan and this amazing thing that I'm giving you? Why? And then I really got to understand that, look, there's a huge human element there, and they want to see that, they want to feel that, and you need to ensure that you're giving them the right tools to succeed, because to us it makes sense, right? To us it's like, well, put $500 away every fortnight, and after 5 years you'll have X amount. To them it's like, well, okay, how do I do that? Okay, what do you mean about putting in shares? How am I going to invest that? So taking more time to just explain things to them and really understand what level they are at. So those were the huge challenges for me back then, because look, I think my technical knowledge, given the 17 years of studies, is quite up there. So that was never really an issue. It was more about, okay, well, being less analytical and more human with the clients, which you learn early on in the industry. So
yeah, and as your own personal investing journey, what a lot of our listeners, some younger guys, some older guys. So, what are the tips that you can sort of give away to starting the investing journey, especially going down the property side?
yeah, so look, lots of tips. I can speak for days, and look, I'm not even trying to sell my book, but it's gonna sound that way. I wish I read my own book 10 years ago, and I kid you not, because there are things in there that I did not know 10 years ago that, if I had started doing, would have set me up a lot better for the future. Doesn't mean I've made bad decisions. I think I've made pretty good decisions with my personal finances. But I think that the thing with the early will I say early starters or really young, there is one, you don't have enough, so you end up not doing anything about it. But it's like, no, the earlier you start, the better you build a solid attitude and behavior towards money, okay, or towards investing, and not doing what your other mates are doing, but what is best for you as well is a very important one. So, one of the good things I did very, very early on was I invested in property, and I was also doing shares by the side. And that's what I always preach to my clients. I'm like, well, look, first of all, you want to be diversified, but second of all, it's not just all property or just all shares. There's a good balance in there, especially for the young people out there. And sometimes that balance would ebb and flow in one way or the other. Because if you've sold your shares to purchase your first house, well, you might be out of shares for a while, but then, okay, well, you just turn that back on and try to build that up. So I think for the young stars out there, is one, start early and start with whatever you can, and get as much information as you can, and get advice if you can. I know some people cannot afford advice when you're that young, but if you can, definitely get it. And I know it's going to sound funny coming from an advisor, but it's just the honest truth.
I think the other thing that you mentioned around your parent side of things is curiosity as well. Like, ask lots of questions of people. If you can't afford advice, ask people around you that have a business or have shares or have an investment property, and just pick their brains as well around what they're doing and start learning that way. Because that's what you did as a kid, Victor.
Yeah, no, and funny thing as well, I walked into now that I think about it, how I started investing was, I think about 6 months here, whatever. I'd saved a bit of money, going back to what my mom had taught me. I'd saved a bit of money. So I walked in the bank, I was like, what can I do with this money? And they're like, well, okay, well, it's a little bit small, so I can't see an advisor. Have you tried shares? I was like, oh. I was like, okay, yep, how do I do that? So they set me up with a brokerage account, and that's how I started, and this was, so going back to what I was saying, I was curious about what I should do. I didn't just sit down and say, no one is teaching me anything, but I went to the relevant people, and back then it was the banks, like, well, what do I do with this money? And yeah, so being curious is very, very, very important.
But that key concept of saving money and spending a little bit, but saving money and putting it aside, and then eventually after you've saved some of that money, then you're investing into shares, because shares are the easiest way to get into the investment market. And then every fortnight or every month, as you save more money, you put more money in. And that's what we call the dollar cost averaging approach. Because when the markets are going up and down like this, you're either buying along the journey, and then the money in the market over time is where it creates you long-term wealth.
Yeah. One of my biggest mistakes then that I did, and looking back at it, is like, that's just so ridiculous, Victor, did that. But as soon as I set up the brokerage accounts, back then you could see all companies and whatever. So I jumped in and I was like, okay, I searched a few companies and I looked at the ones that had gained the most. So I was like, okay, yeah, those are the ones they'll keep going up. Yes, that's the one I should buy. And bought a few of those, and obviously some of them then lost the most.
They crashed the hardest.
They crashed. So, in hindsight, it's like, well, no, don't do that. But I didn't know. But I'm happy I actually stuck with it. I was like, okay, well, surely there's something that I'm doing wrong. Kept reading, kept researching. I read lots of books back then as well, about that kind of stuff.
And that's part of your learning journey as well, of learning the hard times when the losses come around, and what to do during those losses, depending on what type of investments they are as well.
Yeah. So, and I think I started investing in 2008, so just when the crisis was hitting as well.
Oh, wow.
So it was it was very
Lots of
interesting.
learnings early on.
Oh my God, lots of learnings, and that has been very good, because one, then I didn't have too much money, so it's like, yep, yeah, whatever. But two is like, now I can teach clients the right ways to think about things, and really guide them in the right ways as well.
Yeah. And what else, Victor? We've mixed in circles together for the last couple of years with our financial license, and then eventually moving into the MDRT, $1 Million Roundtable world. We can sort of speak about the conferences that we've been to over time, but like joining the group of MDRT at the start, you're sort of flying in blind. Matty, I always, when Victor and I were going over to Vancouver last year, it's a funny story. Meeting at the airport, we're on the same flight, flying over to Vancouver together. And I'm like, Victor, have you been looking at the MDRT app? Because the MDRT have this app organized with a full schedule, with everything all ready to go. He's like, no, I haven't got my login details for it yet. I said, why not? And he goes, oh, wait a have I even bought a ticket for it? He literally jumped on that morning and bought a ticket to the conference.
Ah, good.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But one of the things I know I'm very bad at is like social events. I'm a last minute guy for those kind of things. I think it's
yeah.
because I plan everything else to the detail, but that was like, yep, no, do it 5 minutes before.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But in saying that, networking in itself, Victor, how important is that to you? Networking on both a business level, but also networking amongst your peers and other advisors. What growth have you had in both areas?
Yeah, so I think I read something once as to how smart people look at things, and how they look at things is like, well, what can I learn from the other person? And if you approach that in every interaction you have, you're in a situation then that you get a lot more knowledge and you grow a lot faster than if you always walked in saying, oh, what can I teach other people? And I think the good thing about financial advice that I learned early on as well is you want to understand what the client wants. So I think that kind of translated into everything. So in terms of networking with peers and networking in general, I think is a great way to, one, learn better ways to, one, help clients grow the business, and just even live life in general. Okay. So that has been really impactful. And, with the MDRT crowd as well, there are lots of high performers there and lots of people that are doing great things, and you just get to understand, okay, how are they doing it? How are they balancing? I always say the wealth, the health, the relationships. How are they doing that? And learn a lot from them, which makes your life a lot easier. It then gives you almost a path, and then you always have support there as well. Okay, that's to support
Yeah.
us to, how you can do things better. So, and in my first year of business, I wouldn't have survived without a network of other professionals and just other business owners that I could rely on and could guide me into the right ways to think and the right ways to do things as well.
Yeah. What about another question there is we spoke at a conference together, like an advisor conference called Risk and Focus, and your piece there was about investing in yourself and making sure you're spending on yourself to make yourself better, investing in yourself. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah. So the thing about building wealth, all right, wealth is built, and there's difference between making money and building wealth. But when you're building wealth, it's something that just works for you. Okay, but you need to build it. You need to do something about it. And for most people, it comes from your human capital, your ability to earn. Your ability to earn, save, invest builds your wealth. The more you earn, the more you save, the more you invest, the more you build wealth. Okay. So your ability to invest in yourself and make yourself more valuable to whoever you're helping, be it your clients, be it your employer, be it just the world in general, the more wealth you can build. So I think the most valuable asset we have is the ability to work, which is your human capital. And that is not capped for anyone.
Mm.
The ability to build human capital is there isn't a limit. You can go as high as you want. So to me, it was always fascinating because yes, I believe in investing, financial investing as well, but I think the human capital aspect is one of the parts that is hugely missed by lots of people.
You're a big advocate for human capital because you've spent a lot of money at universities. Is it now eventually you are actually going back and teaching now? Tell us about that journey.
Yeah, so look, done a few online courses, which is good, but doing a little bit of community college as well. Look, I believe in financial literacy because if you look at the way the market works in the first place, right, and this is going back to economics and macroeconomics, the sentiment drives the stock market most of the time. So the more educated people are, the less sentiment and volatility we're going to have. So it actually helps everyone, so that everyone knows a lot more about the markets. And what I've found as well with clients that know a bit more, they actually find the process a lot more interesting. While as for other clients, we take a bit of time with education, which is fine. So, but personally, I think that education teaching is a good way for you to even learn as well, because like, well, how do I communicate this thing to this person so they understand it? So you need to have different ways to do that, and you have a better understanding. And one of my biggest joys is writing the book, because when I wrote the book, I actually learned to communicate things in a clearer way, which to me helped me increase my human capital. So teaching is good. And I think the old saying that people who can't do teach, I think that's absolute BS.
The people who can't teach can't be a financial planner going to teaching, and that's why you're going down that route, is it?
No. There's a saying that people there's a saying that people who can't do teach, and it's like, well,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
totally disagree with that.
Yeah.
People can do and they can teach at the same time.
Yeah,
Let's
especially for practical things. But anyway, well, we can talk on and on for about that. So
Yeah.
let's probably move on.
I was gonna say, let's get political around this financial literacy thing.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Everything you said around, more education, more financial literacy, supports people in making better financial decisions, less volatile markets then with more educated as well. So why do you think governments don't financially educate their people? Like in Australia at the moment, there's not huge amounts of financial literacy through schools, through education systems, from that side of things.
Very, very good question. I think it's one of those things where it's a long-term game. And look, most governments are in for what 4 years, whatever.
Yeah.
So in 4 years, they're actually not going to see the benefit. And as I said, it's a little bit political, because governments want to get into power.
Yeah, they
So they
want
can't.
votes, right? And that's not going to buy them votes as such.
That's not going to buy them votes, because even if you look at just the cohort of advisors as well, it's a small cohort compared to a lot of other industries that they can focus on as well. And yeah, so look, it's just sad that people don't take as much time, or the government doesn't take as much time to invest in things like that. So
I think
I
it's
don't know.
brilliant
What are
you're
your
doing,
views, Matt? Tell me.
No, I think it's brilliant what you're doing from both the book education side, financial literacy. I know you and Lionel have a little side project that you guys are working on together, which I think is amazing, and I can't wait to see the end result. And also take my kids through that you guys are working on.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can speak about anything else, but
No,
up to you guys.
Victor and I are doing a side project at the moment. We haven't really advertised it. I pretty think you're the only person, and now the rest of the whole.
I've just blown it. Sorry, guys.
They still don't know. They still don't know exactly what's going on, but yeah.
Yeah, they don't know exactly. Yeah, Victor and I are doing a side project at the moment to help educate generation, really.
More financial literacy, right?
Yeah, more
around
financial
financial
literacy.
literacy.
Yeah, the importance of like life and wealth and stuff like that as well. So hopefully that we have that done. We haven't got a timeline at the moment, but I'm hoping we get it
Next
done.
year.
Christmas presents for everyone would be good.
I know, right? Yeah,
It'll be
exactly.
ready for Christmas for sure, I would imagine.
Perfect. So yeah, I think that's brilliant. I think as an industry, financial planners, I think we need to be doing more and picking up the slack as well around that side of it. Whether it's podcasts, whether it's books, whether it's teaching at universities and college, just sharing our knowledge that we've got through our years of experience and years of education as well, just to try and pass that knowledge down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was actually one of the frustrations I had, and why I decided, okay, well, I'm going to write a book, because I just feel like, look, I've been about 13 years in the personal finance industry, and just under 10 years as an advisor. So I felt who better to write a book and teach about what I do every day versus myself as a financial planner. So strongly agree that financial planners need to put down their thoughts, concepts, the way they teach clients and help clients manage money better so people can read. Because what I found with lots of books out there, and look, they are great books, but some books focus on one aspect. They might just focus on, okay, investing and making money. But it's like, well, if you're not even saving all the money you're earning, let's assume you're earning $1 million, you can't invest anything in the first place.
Correct. Yep.
If you can't even set goals around, okay, well, what should this money be doing, and what should be invested for, you're not going to have motivation to save. So I think that's why I wrote down the 7 basic things that people need to be doing to actually work on their finances. And 100% advisors need to do more and kind of lead the way, because we are the only profession that deals all around with lots of aspects in personal finance. There's no other profession that deals with all the aspects, cash flow, debt, investing, super, retirement, just everything, insurance,
Yeah, I got a saying from the MDRT was that we're educators first and advisors and guidance second. So if you can educate your clients to help them understand all the different aspects of their personal financial world, and then give them guidance on the way, on a path forward, then you're sort of doing your piece as part of your advice journey. And that's why I wrote a book and gave inspiration to some other authors on the inspired by probably
Thank you for your inspiration, Lionel. Thank you.
Yeah, inspired by maybe a little bit more of a red wine influence on the way over to Vancouver.
Are you looking for royalties here? You looking for royalties?
Not looking for royalties, just looking for recognition.
Yeah, given to you.
But credit to you, but when you got home from Vancouver last year, you were like, I'm going to write a book. And then next thing you know, pop, this book shows up and it's the best selling on Amazon. So
I wish.
yeah,
That's another thing I'm learning as a business owner. You need to do some good marketing, because as I said, I honestly think it's a good book. But it's like, well, as a business owner, putting on so many hats it's another crucial thing as well.
Yeah, that's right. One other thing as well that we haven't really mentioned as well, that probably one thing that you do get from your dad, I bet it's from that physique of yours. Victor is a fit machine of a man in a high rocks events and stuff like that. Tell us about how important is physical exercise to you and your life.
Yeah, so to me it's top priority, and I always tell family and loved ones that, look, if I didn't work out, you're gonna hate being around me. So you better allow me to go work out and get the peace of mind and every other thing I get from my workout. So yeah, to me is one of the most important things, because it kind of feeds into wealth as well. And because if you're physically fit and you're doing all you can for your health, naturally you will perform a lot better than if you were not. Okay, so to me, has always been a big part, and I guess over the last few years I've been burning the candle at both ends, and physical fitness has been one of the things just to keep me going and still have lots of energy, because sometimes people miss mental tiredness from physical tiredness, and most people work on desk jobs these days and they're like, oh, I'm too tired to go to the gym. It's like, well, you're mentally tired and that makes you feel like you're physically tired, but you're not actually physically tired. But anyway, I could go on and on about fitness, but yeah, definitely key.
I feel attacked for me. And seen.
we're just motivating you. So like today already, I've done my 10Ks, 10K run. So it was meant to be 5. I got dragged into 10. So
how the do you get dragged from 5 into 10Ks?
Well, I was meant to catch up with this guy, and then he's based in from Melbourne. He's a potential, he's a business partner, and then he was like, "Oh, did you going for a 10K run?" I was like, "No, I can only do 5." This was us messaging last night, and then I was like, "No, man, I can only do 5." I was like, "No," and he was okay, yeah, we'll do 5. As soon as he said that, I should have known, red flag. Because as soon as we started, We got to 4. He's like, "Oh, Victor, do you want to turn back?" I was like, "Turn back." Now, if we turn back, it's going to be 8 at least. So that's how I got dragged, because you're running, you're talking, before you know it, you're 3Ks in, 4Ks in. It's like, oh, might as well just do the 10 you wanted.
Rightio, Victor. We've got some rapid fire quick questions that we've come up to with here. What's one thing most people wouldn't know about you?
Oh, I love chess. I don't know. That's all I can think about. Avid chess player. I do like 1-minute games, and I'll probably shoot like 5 every day at least.
What do you mean 1-minute games?
Do 1-minute chess games. Like, you have 1 minute to finish the game.
Yes, that's already started.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I reckon
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
son, Smasher.
Oh yeah, let's play. I want to play him. Hey that.
What's your favorite Nigerian food?
Oh, it has to be pounded yam.
Pounded yam.
Yeah. So
What do you like?
it's like potatoes but yam, and then you peel the back, you boil it, you pound it, mash it together, and you have it with like a soup, like a
Yeah,
stew,
nice.
like a curry.
And
Yeah.
Beautiful.
what's your best book or podcast recommendation other than the Superman podcast?
If I say mine, can I
Oh,
say
Yeah, say
mine?
yours. Go
Yeah,
plug
yeah.
yourself.
What's your podcast?
No, look, I actually don't listen to a lot of podcasts. So I'll go book instead.
Yeah.
I think the biggest book that has been very beneficial is how to make friends, make friends, and how to influence people and make friends. How to
Influence.
make friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, how to influence people and make friends by Dale Carnegie. Very simple book, but very important. And look, I read a lot, so I can give you 100 books, but let's just stick with that one.
And the last one here, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Oh, understand and take more risk.
Take more risk.
Yeah, and look, the key thing there is understand and take more.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when people don't understand, and risk, as we know as advisors, is only chance of loss. It's not guaranteed loss. So take a little bit more risk. Like, I think I should have probably started the business earlier. I probably think I should have moved from Perth earlier. You know, all those things are just calculated risks that I didn't understand at the time, but when it got to the time, so that could have fast tracked my career a lot faster.
Cool. Well,
One other thing, I want to jump in, Lionel.
yeah.
So your business, CFV Financial Advisory.
Yes.
What do you guys focus on, Victor? Like, if someone's coming to you?
So we service 3 groups of clients: the wealth builders, the retirees, and the business owners. Okay. I really like the business owners because of the complex structures that come with that. I think the 17 years of studies needs to be used somehow. So I truly enjoy that, and I think it's always different conversation with the business owner in terms of, you know, growth, investing, and all that. Is just a different dynamic. So yeah, those are the 3 categories we serve generally.
Awesome. And where can people reach out to you, mate? If they want to connect, where can they go?
So best one will be LinkedIn. LinkedIn is just my name, Victor Idoko. I am trying to be a social media guru as well, social media influencer. So you would find me on Instagram and TikTok, and if you just type in Victor Idoko Financial Advisor, that should come up.
Perfect. Thank you, mate. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate your precious time and sharing your knowledge and information with us. Lionel, anything to wrap up, mate?
No, that's it, Victor. Thanks for jumping on and sharing your wisdom with the Superman podcast listeners. I'm sure everyone's going to get a bit of something out of that, and if not, they're going to hear a bit of a laugh. But yeah, thanks again for listening along to the Superman podcast. If you've liked this podcast, make sure you subscribe and share it with your friends and family or your colleagues, or just share it with everyone, really. But yeah, if you are a listener and you would like to hear something about a certain topic on the finance journey, or if you'd like to become a guest as well, reach out to both Matt and myself at our emails. Mine is lionel@purposeplanning.com.au.
Just reach out to Lionel. That'll be perfect.
Reach out to Lionel. Or hit us on the DMs on the social media accounts as well. So, but until then, thanks, Victor. Have a great week, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.